You're back with caricarz.com with me, Tariq Azmi, and let's get one thing straight. The Smart brand has always been a cool brand, but I think it's been made cooler under the stewardship of Geely Group. We've proven that with our recent review of the Smart #1 Brabus. That was a fantastic car to be in, luxurious, sporty, and it has all the novelties you'd expect out of any EV today. But I am certain some of you would find the Brabus version to be a little bit over the top. And I'm sure some of you will also agree with me, power and performance isn't everything. Well, the Smart #1 does come in a slightly softer version from that called Smart #1 Premium. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what's what with the Smart #1 Premium and why I think this is the prime choice from the #1 range. The Smart #1 was designed by Mercedes-Benz and it is very telling. From every angle you look at it, the Smart #1 does not look ugly. In fact, I think it is one of the most handsome looking, most prettiest looking EVs in the market right now, and there's enough curves everywhere for you to admire it. I also especially love up front. Unlike the Brabus, which has the aero kit, there's no aero kit here, but you still get the lovely full LED light that runs across the entire front, and you also get a very cool light show in the shuttered grille down here. But otherwise, it looks good. And just to top things off, while you get some very sporty looking multi-spoke Brabus wheels in the Brabus, you don't get those here. Instead, you get something a little more dynamic and a little more meaty in my opinion, but they're still 19 inches and they look fantastic. They fit the stance of this car in my opinion. Now with the exterior, my favorite bits lie in the details, and in the case of the Smart #1, it's things like stowaway door handles, this Smart logo in the C-pillar that actually lights up at night and looks very nice. It's not as tacky as it sounds, in fact. As well as this full width, full LED rear tail lamp. Seriously, just like the front, there is no mistaking the Smart #1 for anything else, even from the rear. And overall, I think many of you will agree, it really is a very good looking car to look at, even when it's dressed in this rather plain Jane two-tone black and white colorway. Oh, by the way, one more nice touch in the exterior design. Check it out, frameless windows. All right, let's take a look inside the cabin of the Smart #1 Premium, and let's start with the back seat. As you can see, space overall is quite decent. It's not the spacious, the largest in segment, but at least a sub 6 footer like me can fit in here comfortably, and you can adjust that comfort further because these rear benches can be adjusted by sliding forwards or back. This also means you could also augment total boot capacity, which is also quite useful. Otherwise, in this premium spec, you get plush leather upholstery in the seats, very nice, very comfy, and you even get dedicated rear aircon vents with dedicated rear USB charge ports. So overall, it's safe to say that Smart has covered all the angles well with all variants of the #1, but in particular with this premium variant, the presence of leather seats for this back seat is a nice touch. And I guess when I argue that even if you are in a dual income, no kids situation, you can't argue with the fact and having extra space like this, because you never know when you're going to need it. And now we move up front into the forward part of the cabin, where as you can see, the design looks sensational. It is definitely far from boring, and it's also still very luxurious in feel and ambience. Mercedes-Benz have definitely done a stellar job with designing the cabin of the Smart #1, and I dare say it feels and looks a lot nicer to be in this Mercedes designed EV as opposed to being in a Mercedes badged EV. Maybe things like this body colored panel in the dash and the doors may not be to your liking. Personally, I think the door handles could have been done with regular leather or fabric covers, but it does not ruin or dampen the Smart's ambiance anyway. What does add to everything here is the amount of tech and features present even in this mid-spec premium variants. Now, key highlights include this massive central touchscreen that offers a whole load of functionality, including compatibility with a dedicated smartphone app. It also offers Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, very important. You can't live without that these day and age. Apart from which, you get the usual dual zone automatic climate control with, my favorite bit, built-in seat ventilation. The seats, by the way, also are power adjustable, so that's pretty nifty, and they also come with memory function in this model. Apart from which, other touches that I like in this car include this very small, minimalist but very rich and interactive 9-something inch meter panel, this digital heads-up display, and in the case of this premium variant, you also get a very nifty full glass panoramic roof. Now, in terms of practicality, the Smart #1 Premium does not disappoint because firstly, it comes equipped with a power tailgate function with foot sensor activation. That's pretty nifty if you ask me. It just makes life on the daily a lot easier. And once it's open, you will see it offers a rather respectable 323 liters of boot space. If you need a little bit more, worry not. There's this false floor feature, so you can get a bit more space there. Or you could just slide the back seats forward to expand it a little further. Or you could just drop it all together and that will grant you over 900 liters of space. So I suppose that is practical enough for just about anybody. If that doesn't impress you, well, worry not. There's a small 15-liter frunk up front just for you to keep some small little items as well. So overall, practicality is rather respectable to say the least. Not the largest, not the widest, not the most versatile in segment, but good enough in my opinion. Oh yes, before I forget folks, another one of my favorite features of the Smart #1 Premium's cabin is its sound system, and that's because this variant gets a very banging sounding, crisp sounding, high-end Beats 13 speaker audio hi-fi system, and well, words do justice in describing it. I'm just going to let you have a listen to how good it sounds. Alright, let's move on to the most important question. How good is the Smart #1 Premium to drive? Well, let's find out. Okay, if it wasn't evidently clear already, this #1 Premium variant isn't as rapid as the Brabus version we tested earlier, and for good reason. Well, 0 to 100 took a respectable 6.7 seconds anyways, because this version makes do with a single rear-mounted motor and rear-wheel drive only. The motor makes just 272 PS or roughly 270 horsepower and 343 Newton meters of torque. Altogether, I would say those figures are indeed respectable. They're not the greatest, they're not the highest in segment, but you could live with this, more so given the next fact. Now, just like the Brabus, this premium variant also uses the same 66 kWh NMC type battery, but unlike the Brabus, which has more motors and more power output, this one maximizes that battery by being able to go further than the Brabus by 40 kilometers. In fact, this variant, the #1 Premium, will travel up to 440 km WLTP. As for charging, the 66 kWh NMC type battery I mentioned earlier accepts both AC and DC charging inputs. The good news here is, specifically for the premium variant, the AC charging accepts up to 22 kilowatts. Now that's pretty fast for AC charging. In fact, it's so fast, Smart claims you are able to attain 10 to 80% through which in just 3 hours. Now in comparison, regular EVs that have 11 kilowatts or lesser do the same at twice the time. So that's pretty nifty in my opinion. Also nifty, it still accepts DC charging, though capped at just 150 kilowatts. That's pretty normal if you ask me, but it's still quite okay because DC 150 kilowatts with this battery, 10 to 80% takes just about 30 minutes. Now, I'll leave you to gauge on that. That's not bad, no? Okay, as far as drive dynamics is concerned, everything feels really good in the Smart #1 or Smart #1 Premium version as tested. That's because though this is not the fastest nor the most rapid version of this model, it is instead the most comfortable version you can buy right now. A lot of which stems from the fact that the ride, suspension and damper tuning is very soft, very supple, and dare I say it, very pliant. Yes, there are other EVs out there that beg to differ in this department as well. They offer more comfort, more softness, more pliancy, but the compromise in this one is acceptable between comfort and sporty dynamism. Apart from which, I will also add that the comfort is boosted by the fact that NVH in this cabin is kept in check very well, and that's despite the fact that the Smart #1 actually has, Smart #1 has frameless windows. Now, most of you who know, cars with frameless windows actually have terrible wind noise. The good news is this one is not that noticeable. It's actually quite low, kept in check really well, as is tire roar. And I will have to give my hats off to the people at Geely and Smart, having developed quite a fantastic ride indeed. Apart from which, I will also add that, like most other premium EVs in the market today, the Smart #1 Premium or Smart #1 Premium as tested comes fully loaded with a full arsenal of semi-autonomous driving assistant features or ADAS features. And yes, again, this is another one of those cars that could almost drive itself if you let it. Apart from that, Yes, being an EV, you could do single pedal driving if you wanted to, and it's quite impressive also with the level of regen. You can select between medium or high, and it's quite easy to get used to it. And the regen is actually quite nifty because it helps you rebuild back, recharge back, recapture some energy back into the battery, and perhaps extend your range a little bit better as well. But otherwise, in terms of the drive dynamics and the ride, this is perhaps the most comfortable version of the Smart #1, and it's the one to have if you need a comfy, pliant, and just pleasant daily driver. And that's basically everything I can tell you about the Smart #1 Premium variant. And evidently, it's stylish, it's luxurious, it's very high-tech, it's damn near unbeatable as a total EV package. And I guess the icing on the cake here is its price. It comes at just 209,000 ringgit. Now, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, that's quite a lot of value offered at that price. And it should make you second guess any other Chinese or European rival indeed. Well, what is your take of the Smart #1 Premium then? Hit the comments below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. As always, visit caricarz.com/news for more.